Hi, welcome to Dissolve Chemistry. So, last video of thermodynamics where we have discussed regarding introduction to thermodynamics, definition of the term thermodynamics, then scope and limitations we have discussed. And later system and surrounding where we have defined what is system and what is surrounding. Later we discussed about types of system, that is open, closed and isolated system. Open means exchange of both heat as well as matter with the surrounding. Closed means only exchange of heat, not matter. Isolated means no heat, no matter with the surrounding. There is no exchange of heat or matter. Now we will discuss about next type of system, that is called homogeneous system. Homogeneous system and heterogeneous system. Heterogeneous system. So homogeneous system means the system which is exist in a single phase, probably a maybe gas phase or liquid phase or solid phase. Okay, then it is called homogeneous, which is uniform with the phase. So then it is called homogeneous. And the system which exists in two or more or multiple phases, like a water covered with its vapors, is an example of heterogeneous system. Or you can take two immiscible liquids like carbon tetrachloride and water. Okay, CCl4 and water we can take as an example for heterogeneous system. Both liquid, but they are separated from one another. It is a biphasic we call. So that is homogeneous system and heterogeneous system. So next important thermodynamic terms, that is extensive property and intensive property. Well, what do you mean by this extensive property? Means any property whose value depends upon the amount of the substance present in the system, and then we call it as what? Extensive property. Say for example mass, okay, then volume, then you can take heat capacity, internal energy, okay, then you can take pressure of gas, etc. So all these properties we call it as extensive property, because these are all going to depend upon quantity of the substance, whose value is going to depend upon quantity of the substance. Now for example, you take a volume. If you take, okay, so volume occupied by for example, you take 1 mole of gas, the volume occupied will be different when compared with the 2 moles or 5 moles or 10 moles. Okay, so then volume depends upon what? Quantity of the substance, volume. Or you can take mass, again quantity of the substance, it depends. Then heat capacity already we defined that capacity of a substance to when we raise its temperature by 1 degree, how much amount of heat is absorbed. So amount of heat absorbed will again, of course, it is going to depend upon amount of the substance. Okay, similarly you can take even surface area, that also you can include in this. Okay, you can include surface area. Okay, larger the substance, larger the amount of the substance, then greater will be the surface area. Pressure of a gas packed in a cylinder. Okay, so more amount of the gas if it is packed, then what? More large will be the pressure. Then internal energy, already we have defined internal energy is nothing but what? It is sum of all different types of energies associated with the system. So therefore any type of system, its energy depends upon the quantity of the matter present in the system. So therefore it is also extensive property. Now what do you mean by intensive property? So the property which is independent of the property whose value is independent of quantity or amount of substance present in the system. Intensive property. A very simple, we will take example is your temperature. Okay, very simple, we will illustrate that. You just take a glass of tea, for example hot tea. Now you pour it into 2 cups. Okay, so you just pour it into 2 cups. Do you expect the temperature of tea in both the cups is going to divide it into 2? Say for example, it is at 80 degrees Celsius. Now when I pour it into 2 cups, then is it going to get into 2 holes? No. So it will be 80 degree only. It is also 80 degree as soon as you pour into the cups. What is the meaning of that? Temperature is an intensive property that it don't depends upon quantity of the substance. Okay, similarly temperature, then you can take all molar properties such as molar volume, then you can take your density, then you can take molar heat capacity. Heat capacity and molar heat capacity are 2 different aspects. Similarly, we can take density, temperature, then refractive index of the substance, viscosity. Okay, so you can go on adding the list, melting point, boiling point. Okay, still I can make you understand what is how this melting point and boiling points are the intensive property. Say for example, now suppose you want to boil a liter of water. Okay, amount of heat required may differ, but I have to raise its temperature by 100 degree only. 100 degree is the boiling point of water. So when I rise, even though it is 1 liter water, I have to raise its temperature by 100 degrees Celsius, which is nothing but boiling point, then only water starts boiling. Similarly, if you take 10 liters of water or 2 liters of water, say for example, so then also you have to raise its temperature by 100 degree, then only it will start boiling. Meaning is what? It irrespective of amount of water you have taken, you have to raise its temperature by 100 degrees Celsius, then only it will start boiling. Okay, so therefore your boiling is what? Intensive property. Okay, the property which is independent of, whose value is independent of amount of the substance present in the system. Okay, so that is called intensive property. So we have learned what do you mean by extensive property and what do you mean by intensive property, homogeneous system and heterogeneous system. We will go with more terms, thermodynamic terms in upcoming videos. Thank you for watching. Please subscribe our